Hey everyone, how's it going? Trulin here. I tried doing this series a while ago. I think it was about a year ago. It's called The Rule of Three, where I assess an anime for the first 3 episodes, or I should say analyze. It's not really as much of a should you watch or is it good, is it bad. It's just kind of me talking about the first 3 episodes and what I got from it. By no means is it really a review either, as the material isn't finished, so I can't call it a review. But today's video is about now, I want to try to make this a little fast, but we might be carrying on for a while. I like to talk. So we have Goblin Slayer, which is an anime covered in controversy because it had rape in it. Boy, oh boy. Do I think defending Goblin Slayer makes you say rape is justified? No, if you push that argument, I think you're an idiot. Am I going to overly defend Goblin Slayer because other people are offended about it? No. I'm going to judge the show on its own merit, but yes, I'm going to say if a show has rape in it, it is a work of fiction, right? Why is it okay to get upset about work of fictions like this? Because it has rape in it? Go get mad at other shows. Game of Thrones, go get mad at it. How many people were upset about that kind of stuff? Why is it that people are so sensitive to these kind of things? And fiction is what is the biggest selling point I'm trying to tell you right now. This is a work of fiction. You don't like it, you can go. Yes, you can complain about it. Everyone has a right to complain, right? But at the same time, I think the outrage was totally unwarranted. Why weren't people like getting upset at Inuyashiki when the thug was like it's hard to say, but he was doing this to some dude, right? Why did no one get overly upset about that? At least I didn't hear anyone get overly upset about it. Oh, because most likely because women were affected, right? It's very hard to believe women get raped by villainous people, or in this case, goblins, who are known to be the staple of rapists in Japan. Goblins are always rapists in Japan. Let's talk about Goblin Slayer. So we have the first thing, and this is my biggest gripe already. Goblin Slayer doesn't name his characters. What kind of lazy asshole doesn't name their characters? Everyone is named either after their job, their moniker, or their race. And that's it. You have the priestess, the receptionist, Goblin Slayer's best friend. I don't know her name. They don't say it enough. If she has a name, I don't know it. The high elf, the dwarf, and the lizard man. And the lancer, and the sorceress, or witch, it doesn't matter. They don't have names. Here, I'll name your characters, Goblin Slayer. Like this. Bam. Look at that. I've just named every single character. How hard is that? The Goblin Slayer doesn't need a name. His moniker is fine enough. Anyway, back on track. Let's talk about the characters. Priestess. She's a novice adventurer. She just turned like 15 or something like that, and she's out to go adventure. She believes very much in her faith, and I suppose she wants to be an adventurer to help people, like, you know, for the kind of greater good thing. But in all honesty, why? Why can't she just be like a relief person? Why can't she help homeless people? That kind of stuff. Why does she need to be an adventurer, especially when she doesn't seem like she's trained at all? I can kind of understand maybe the fact the world is saying that you can't go out there and fight monsters unless you have like adventurer permission, that kind of thing. But come on, it's not going to stop random people from going out there and like training to get stronger, just where they can like be sure to go out there and be a competent adventurer. The priestess is very naive, and she's a kid. Of course she would be naive. She's only 15. So her look on the world is very naive compared to our titular main character, the Goblin Slayer. But she is the stark opposite of him, and that's the only reason really why she's paired with the Goblin Slayer. It's just a device for the story, where you have an empathetic human character who is mixed with a man with no sympathy for goblins. He literally lacks emotions, or at least he doesn't portray them well enough. So you have these two characters, and they're supposed to go around each other, sort of like yin and yang, you know. So basic stuff there. I do have to note, I do like the priestess's voice actress. It kind of has like this boyish kind of tone to it. which I think works very well for like a young girl character. But the priestess, as far as a character, she's really nothing special. She's what you would expect from a female lead in an anime like this. Then we have the Goblin Slayer. He is a man who, when he was a boy, goblins had ruined his life. They destroyed his village, they killed his family and friends, they defiled his sister. He's out for revenge. He hates goblins. He doesn't believe a good one exists. If it does, he hopes they stay in their hole.
生かしておく理由など一つもない。善良なゴブリンがいたとしても。善良なゴブリン探せばいるかもしれん。だが人前に出てこないゴブリンだけがいいゴブリンだ。
And it's obvious the Goblin Slayer has lost it. He's lost his humanity in a sense. He sacrificed being a regular person in order to enact his revenge against the goblins. His unparalleled hate towards them. He wants them gone and wiped out of existence. The Goblin Slayer really doesn't hold too much close to his heart. He seems to cherish his armor. I'm not really sure if it's cherished, more of a thing of he's just been wearing it for so long. It's just kind of part of him now. He does have a childhood friend who he seems to care about. Yeah, he cares about. I would say he cares about her. Obviously enough to go through a daily routine of checking the fences, making sure she's safe, going to town, looking for quests for goblins. He lives on routine. He's pretty much been doing this for years. The dude's obsessed with what he does. And overall, I can see people saying the Goblin Slayer is a boring character. Yeah, he is. He's got nothing else better for him going on besides killing goblins. That's it. He's kind of like the Doom guy. In fact, I think a lot of people have called the parallel to the Doom guy with Goblin Slayer. He's out there to kick ass, and that's solely it. This dude is just an ass-kicking machine. When you want the action, Goblin Slayer's coming, and he's going to give you some action. Now, something I do like about Goblin Slayer is that he isn't just a man in armor. He isn't just an empty person in armor. Yes, he still doesn't have a name, he doesn't have a face, he does have a backstory. And I do like that, because I don't want the Goblin Slayer to be some rando who just kills goblins. He has no name, no backstory, and it's a self-insert for people. I don't like self-insert characters. I think they're absolutely lame. And that's a personal opinion. You disagree with me, you can disagree. Then we move over to more characters. We have more side characters. You have the receptionist, who seems to have the hots for Goblin Slayer because he kills goblins. Then we have Goblin Slayer's best friend, who is literally just tits. That's all she is. She's just fan service. There's no reason for her to literally look the way she does. But we'll talk about character designs in a second, because normally I don't talk about character designs in its own segment, but we have to when it comes to this anime. We have to. So you have red-haired Tits McGee, who really is nothing besides a device for the Goblin Slayer to say, I need to protect. Most likely, either she's going to get raped or she's going to get killed. One of the two, and that's going to push Goblin Slayer to do something else. Now, I've only read a little bit of the source material, so I don't know everything that goes on in the future. But personally, I don't care too much about this character. She's literally just there. I can't tell if she's a romance interest, because the Goblin Slayer possibly has the priestess on his dick and the receptionist on his dick and now her. So there's 3 girls and it's kind of annoying. I don't know. Then we have more side characters. These characters were introduced at the end of episode 2, and more was shown of them in episode 3. You have the High Elf, Dwarf, and the Lizard Man. Those 3 characters. And out of all 3 of them, the Lizard Man is the most interesting because of one scene. That was funny. I'm not gonna lie, it was a funny scene. I thought it was a bit weak compared to the manga version, but fine enough. Maybe it wasn't as funny as I thought. Maybe just reading it and kind of imagining in my head, I was like, oh yeah, that's pretty funny. But the anime did an okay job, and I believe he's voiced by Tomokazu Sugita, voicing like Gintoki. I believe so. If I'm wrong, nothing. I don't know. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Then you have the High Elf, who most likely is going to be like a tsundere kind of character. Or she's probably not as annoying as like the redhead girl or the priestess. And she kind of fulfills like that flat-chested majority. Alright, I should say the flat-chested section for characters that we need. Fine enough. People have their thing. take it. Then you have the dwarf, who is literally kind of boring. He's got nothing going on for him. But that's where I really want to talk about too. The characters, the races, they're all based off apparently off of D&D. That's where the huge issue is unoriginal. Is 100% unoriginal. Is the weakest thing you can do. You create a fantasy world, and now all your characters are based off things that other people already know. So these characters are riding off the knowledge of you knowing about high elves, you knowing about lizardmen, you knowing about dwarves, you knowing about guilds and stuff like that. Is riding off that knowledge without having to flesh his own characters out. So you can kind of assume, oh, she's an elf, so probably she's more attuned with nature, which is kind of lame because you shouldn't write your characters like that at all. When you're creating a fantasy setting, using elf, using dwarf is very uninspired. Again, no characters don't have names. Characters are just based off races we already are established. What are you gonna do? Like, Goblin Slayer it sits so comfortably knowing that it can use shock value, and everyone else will forget about the glaring issues of Goblin Slayer. Glaring issues is unoriginality. It's just a gore fest with some ecchi in it. Okay, let's move on. We have to talk about the goblins, because they're the enemy. They're the whole enemy of the series. The goblins are evil. They're just evil. That's all they are. That's all they ever will be. Evil. Their sole existence is to be evil, rape women, kill people, eat people, burn villages. That's all they're going to do. In episode 1, Priestess opens up the question, is there such thing as a good goblin? And Goblin Slayer says, so you would assume maybe goblins have factions or something like that, but to me it doesn't seem that way. Goblins are just creatures that pile together and they attack town after town after town after town. And if they were human and then they were evil without reasoning, I would somewhat give it a pass. Because in real life we have evil people who were evil for no real reason. We had this one guy who was just killing people, and he traveled around the world and killed people. And why? Because he could. The goblins are killing people because they can, but I'm less likely to believe that justification because they're just monsters. They can't communicate with humans on any personal level. They don't take things for gain. They just take things because kill. If it was a human who was doing it to boost his ego, they were just, something was broke up here, but that's not the case for goblins. They're just that way. So the only thing they're here for is to make the audience think, I want them to die. I want the Goblin Slayer to kill them. That's all they are, and that's all they exist for. The story does set out to say that the goblins have a similar form of intelligence to humans. Not the same, it's not like verbal communication, but they can build weapons, create strategies, and similar things like that. So by all means, goblins are a threat. The only real thing that makes them an issue for humans is their numbers and the aforementioned intelligence that they have. Even more so, goblins have a ranking system. They have a pillar of strength. So they have some sort of government, I would guess. Episode 3 delves more into the origins of the goblin, something I think the anime should touch upon before it ends. Like, where did they come from? I understand it kind of ruins the mystique about it. Oh, they're created from humans doing bad deeds. Oh, they're created from blank source. Or they came from the moon. I think it doesn't matter what the thing is. I want to see how goblins come to be. But most likely we won't get such a thing. So I'm not holding my breath. Then we move over to the setting and the world. When it comes to the world, we have very, very little world building. We just recently heard that there was a capital in episode 3, but it kind of makes very little sense for the Goblin Slayer to go there, since it doesn't seem like he would care. And episode 3 really staples down how much he does not care about doing anything else besides killing goblins. If there were goblins in the capital, then he would go there. And that's the only reason I could see Goblin Slayer going to new location. And so the other areas we have is the tavern, the guild hall, whatever it's called, and then the Goblin Slayer's ranch, and then goblin hideouts. And that's it. That's all there is to it. Now, of course, this is the first 3 episodes, so I'm not expecting them to go, like, very, very far into a different area already. But looking at the scenery and the world around, it's again a very generic, unoriginal world. Whoop-de-doo, surprise there, right? And as far as world building goes, it's very weak. So world and setting, weak. Then we move over to sound and design. I think the sound design is pretty good. Nothing to cry home about, but it gets the job done. And as far as music goes, only in episode 1 I can remember like the action track in episode 1 when he's fighting the goblins in the cave. I remember that pretty well.
6、オブ1、シャーマン1、残り8。
But other than that, again, another just kind of generic fantasy soundtrack. Then we move over to the opening, which I love a lot. I love the opening. It's done by Millie. I think her name is Millie. I've never heard of this lady before, but I like the opening a ton. The visuals for the opening are very nice. In fact, the anime probably should have adopted some of what the opening looks like with a hard contrast on shadows. It would have been great. It would have looked far better than what it does right now. And then the ending is produced by, not produced, it's sung by Sodaru, who's a YouTuber, and I like him too. I'm a big Sodaru fan. So congrats to him on getting an ending, but too bad the ending is trash. Sorry, man. Oh boy. Yeah, the ending isn't that great, unfortunately. Sodaru is a very talented person, but we had to get this horrible 3D ending. It just doesn't look good.
What is that? What the fuck is that?
Then we get over to art and animation. And I'm going to add character design to here as well. This is where I feel the anime fails. Very hard. You have Goblin Slayer, who at random times will be 2D and then he'll turn into 3D. Why the hell is that? It only reeks of a inexperienced animation team. That's the only thing I can think of, where you have him literally be 2D here and now he's a janky 3D character walking up a stair or something like that. And it's obvious they didn't want to make him do certain shots, but you could have circumvented that without having to turn to 3D. You don't want to show him walking? Show his footsteps while he's talking. There, now all you have to do is animate feet. I understand, animating armor isn't easy, especially the details of it and keeping up with the shading and the lighting. It's totally not an easy thing, and I'm not going to like bash most people for it, but here it's just so jarring. Why couldn't they have thought of smarter ways to do it? Someone is in the wrong here. Either the animation director, the director in general, the storyboarder, something went wrong when it came to translate it over from 2D to 3D when they needed it. Other than that, all the other character designs are poor. They're poor at best. The character designs they use here in this anime are not necessary and is not justified for the tone of the anime. You have girls with huge tits, boob shine, butt shine, but you have very bland anime eyes. Like sometimes even really big, like this big, and then sometimes even at a bad angle, like the eyes would be like this. Why is that? Who's animating this? The whole thing looks inexperienced, but you have an anime suffering of poor character design. So what is the next thing that happens when you have poor character design? Poor animation. You've got awkward lip flaps where characters just talk like that. Goblin Slayer is so lucky he doesn't have a mouth to talk with. Or else that would be in 3D too. And I could literally go on and on, maybe even for like 2 hours on Goblin Slayer's horrible character design. It's not good. It's standard at best, and what Goblin Slayer is trying to do, like the shock value of the first episode was alright, fine enough. But when you have poor character design, it loses less of its meaning because it doesn't look as special. You can look at shows like Samurai Champloo, which have amazing character design. Goblin Slayer should look like that. It'd be far easier to take Goblin Slayer seriously because it wants to be dark, it wants to be gritty, but at the same time it wants to have characters with bright hair and big eyes and big boobs. It wants to have both at the same time, and it can't because they just don't work well together. The art and animation gets a horrible fail. It's a fail on my end, and I don't care that the Goblin Slayer is in 3D, I just wish they were more consistent about it. Him turning from 2D to 3D like that makes no sense. It especially doesn't look good when he's paired up around 2D characters. It just doesn't. There were some times in episode 1 where the 3D looked really well that I almost was like, oh wait, that's 3D. Like it almost fooled me that it was 2D. Almost. And then other than that, let's talk about the episodic impressions. Episode 1 had huge shock value. I was expecting this much. Of course, I've already read it. I was surprised they went as far as they did with the rape scene, but by all means, episode 1 is clickbait. It's 100% clickbait, and it's not indicative of what the show is going to be at all. It went off and it hit you with a bang. It was like, oh man, get ready for a fantasy action show with goblin slaying, rape, killing, pillaging, action, high adrenaline. No, this isn't Goblin Slayer. Goblin Slayer has large portions. As I said before, I've read ahead. It has good portions of just downtime, as seen in episode 1 and 2, where 2 completely skips over most of the action. You see some action, but it's kind of boring compared to episode 1. And so obviously episode 1 is this high adrenaline ride, and then episode 2 just slows down, and episode 3 just dead flat lines. Now, do I think Goblin Slayer was being edgy with episode 1? Maybe. I don't know. The word edgy I don't take seriously anymore. I can't take it seriously. If someone wants to make a dark story and there's rape in it, people are going to call it edgy. It's kind of like a person's mindset to call something edgy. I don't see it as edgy at all. I do see it as silly when you look back at like episode 2 and 3. Like looking at 1 and then looking at 2 and 3, and it's just like, oh boy, unnecessary stuff all around the place. So overall, my final thoughts, I like the character Goblin Slayer. I do. I don't need a character I can relate to like them. Again, that's just me. I think relatability is the least biggest thing you should be looking for in a character, especially to say if they're good or not. They don't have to be relatable at all. I think the creator, both the creator of this and the studio, whatever, it doesn't matter, are both lazy and unoriginal. No character names, copying established races from fantasy with little change and no effort added whatsoever. 100% lazy, unoriginal, uninspired. I've been listening to the opening a lot, that's for sure. I like it, but music's subjective, so if you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't. Other than that, I think I'm done. I want to talk more about Goblin Slayer, but maybe I'll just save it for like episodic impressions or reactions. I don't know, something like that. As I do find the show far more interesting than what else is airing right now, but I haven't watched everything, and that's impossible anyway. So Goblin Slayer has at least kept my interest and held my interest. So yeah, I'll be watching it past episode 3 now that I've made it that far. I do want to see the ending, but as far as other characters go, I don't care. I don't care about any other character besides Goblin Slayer, and I know he's not going to die. so there you go. It's a no stakes show. If Elf dies, oh man, too bad. I can't see myself liking any of the other ones. Other than that, this has been long. Sorry, I like to talk. Other than that, tell me what you think about Goblin Slayer. Leave it down in the comment below. And the eye icon, I believe it'll be on this side, if not over here. It doesn't matter. I'll leave some poll questions for you to answer. You can rate the show from, it's going to be an A to F rating. I think that's cool, a cool rating system. I like that more than like number systems. So don't forget to check out the polls. Don't forget wherever they are. And expect more on this channel. I had made other videos, but by the time I was getting around to editing them, it was kind of too late. I'm not sure if I'll release them or not. We'll see. Because normally you want to talk about something while it's trending. For this channel at least, I want to try to make that kind of push. Normally, for me, it's just make whatever you want. But for me, I want to try to make the push, talk about things that are important, but also talk about things I want to talk about. But I've been so busy with my other channel, this one has just been left in the dust. Other than that, I'll see you guys next time.